This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Yes, we're all responsible, aren't we?
Yes, I believe so. I hope so.
We are.
We're trying.
We are. We're responsible adults. And speaking of being responsible adults, let's talk about work, employment, career shifts, and that's why we're going to be discussing the findings of this new survey. And the findings of this new survey suggest that nearly 6 in 10 professionals in the UAE are considering switching their work industry in the next few months. Now, as for the reasons, they cited better salary and career growth, 46% of them as the main reason for considering this industry change. Government or civil service, 14% ranked as the most appealing sector among those thinking of an industry switch. And according to Bait.com's top industries in the Middle East and North Africa 2020 survey, these are the findings they conducted in partnership with market research company YouGov. The survey polled about 2,000 respondents in several MENA countries, including the UAE and Saudi Arabia. And that was from September 21st until October 8th. So obviously we know that the COVID-19 has tipped the global economy into a steep recession, prompting workers around the world to reskill, to adjust to a rapidly changing economy. So this survey found that 19% of UAE respondents have changed their industry at least once in the past 2 years.
Yeah, and it ties in with the question Abdul Karim asked earlier. He said, if you could push a reset button and move into something else entirely, what would you do? And we've been getting your text, so we're still having this conversation. Text us at 4215. But Abid Reza says first he'd like to be 35 years younger, then become an airline pilot flying intercontinental flights is what he said. So a lot of people seem to want a change in their career path.
Yeah, I think our in our own team as well. I just went over there next door and I went up to him and said, what would you like to choose to be? And he said pilot as well.
Whoa.
And I was
What's up with being a pilot?
But the problem with the pilot is that you had to, firstly, eyesight had to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
That's number one. And as far as I remember, Mr. Abid Reza, you wear glasses as well. So
that's true.
You reconsider maybe option B, maybe plan B.
But you have to adjust your sleeping patterns.
Yes, you do. And I'll give you that. It's apart from being exhausting, it is a very cool profession.
Yeah.
You roll with your trolley bag. You're walking down the at the airports, you look like an army general. You're in a nice uniform, you've got a nice hat. You are a prestigious individual. You've got so much respect. You fly a huge jet, and you also carry the responsibility of hundreds of passengers, so everyone just trusts you. And then you've got to have that nice voice that wakes you up in the morning or wherever you're saying, welcome on board to Morning Majlis Airways, reporting flights, outside.
I like that, Morning Majlis Airways.
Outside temperatures are about 22 degrees Celsius. We're expecting some strong breeze as well, to cool you down this morning. And if you'd like to be learning a little bit more about us, then log on to pulse95radio.com for sure. But apart from that, it is. I think the pandemic at the moment has also taught us that no matter how powerful you think you are, or how influential or a very strong position you think you might be in, once the floodgates have opened, it's been a little bit of an issue, and it's been very difficult to survive. But this is where we're asking you, if you were to choose any other profession, any other industry that you would like to be part of, or you would think would have been a better fit for you, but you didn't pursue it, let us know on the text lines 4215. I grew up to wanting to be a vet. I wanted to be a veterinary professional.
You like animals?
I used to be a big fan of them, but then until I got scratched by a cat, chased by a dog, and I was like, you know what, this is not me anymore. And then I wanted to be a policeman, and then after that I moved on, and then wanted to be a diplomat at one stage of my life as well. In fact, I did a degree in it as well, and I wanted to be a diplomat, but I eventually found my passion in broadcast journalism, and I think I've never looked back ever since. And I think I'm very, very happy to be in a position or in an industry that I am, because it's so challenging. because in media, you're never settled. You can't just be a journalist anymore. You can't just be a video editor anymore. You've got to be everything.
So much that comes along with it.
Yeah. And it's exciting. So that's always cool. But if you were to be in any other position, Rani and Ahmed, any other industry?
I think I've done it all already.
You have
done it all. Rani's been bouncing around.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I'm trying
I'll
to think
skip
of
the answer.
Yeah, I'm thinking of what I would do, and I'm not too sure. I mean, probably something within journalism as well. So if I'm not in broadcast journalism, maybe I'd write some articles, do some independent work. I like that field of work. Just digging in, investigating, learning more about things, talking to people. There's always something to learn. Reading stuff. It's really cool. So probably something within my field as well. So.
Yeah, I see you in the arts a lot.
That too?
Yeah, because I remember, I feel like you're a good actor as well.
Oh.
Remember when you showed me I don't want to say it on air, but like I have to say it.
Go for it.
He was on stage. He showed me his pictures when he was in college and he was performing on stage. So it felt like he was a pro.
Yeah, I was a theater kid, but so is Abdul Karim. You're a theater kid
you
too.
were a theater kid.
I was, I remember I could have been I could have tried to be an actor, but then it would be very limited roles that I might get. That's also a challenge. But the other aspect is, I think I would have liked to be a skydive instructor. That could have been cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That could have been a very cool job. I could have just walked around saying, "Hey, I can teach you skydiving." You know, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I know I can stand that you get bored by jumping off the planes all the time, but yeah, that would be a cool profession to be proud of.
Absolutely. We're getting more texts. Adil Farouk saying, "I've been extremely lucky to have done a lot in life. A cop, a banker, an actor, a singer, radio cricket commentator, and national cricket team vice captain."
Wow.
So, you've done a lot.
I know. That is so cool.
Wow, a cop.
A cop.
Very nice. That's amazing. That's pretty cool. I would have not left that profession.
That is so cool.
Very good.
What's the name again? Ali Farouk?
Adil Farouk.
Adil Farouk.
Wow.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to all of you. Shout out to all of you tuning in. Yes, this is our question to you. This is a little bit of a Majlis debate / Majlis enlightenment for you.
Yeah.
If you were to choose any other profession in the world and you've got a reset button, which industry would you like to be in? Text lines remain open 4215 for you to share your thoughts, and we'll be welcoming your thoughts throughout the program and discussing them in greater detail. And yes, do let us know your name at the end of the text so that we can give you an appropriate shout out and refer to what you had to share. This is the Morning Majlis, only on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95, and a very good morning on to the Morning Majlis on Pulse 95, and we're going to be talking a lot about the world of aviation and world of travel, where we've become, where we are now, and what's going on, because this was the time, November 15, 16, when people would be on the sky scanners, people would be contacting the travel agencies to book their flights home, or holidays would be calling. And it would be a very, very big vibe, and everyone would be excited going to which airport to choose from, which airline. We're spoiled for choice with the airlines. We have Air Arabia through Sharjah, we have the Emirates through Dubai, and then Etihad Airways from the nation's capital in Abu Dhabi. Now, Etihad Airways, sadly, after because of the situation and after a little announcing that they're going to be having a lean operation, have decided and announced that the A380 is now going to be grounded until demand picks up.
Yeah, and according to an Etihad spokeswoman saying yesterday, as Etihad continues to focus on recovery and rebuilding our global network, we will continue to rely on the efficiencies and advantages of our twin-engine wide-body aircraft. And during this period, Etihad's 10 A380s will remain grounded unless the demand grows and there is sufficient appetite to reassess their viability. Now, earlier this month, Etihad kind of revamped its organizational structure and implemented bold changes to set in motion its transformation into a mid-sized full-service carrier concentrating on its fleet of wide-body aircraft to deal with the impact of the pandemic. Now, according to the group chief executive at Etihad, Tony Douglas. He's saying that as a responsible business, we can no longer continue to adapt to a marketplace that we believe has changed for the foreseeable future. And that is why we are taking definitive and decisive action to adjust our business and position ourselves proudly as a mid-sized carrier.
Yeah, and for the A380 in particular, it's a very large plane, and that's what makes it very challenging to profitably fill. And it's pretty much seen a major slump this year in light of COVID-19. Airbus even decided to stop making it this year. So it hasn't been the commercial success that they had pegged it out to be initially. Now, looking at what Etihad is doing as well, they grounded the majority of their fleet in March, when the pandemic led to widespread border closures around the world. And although they gradually resumed their services to various destinations, according to the officials from Etihad, they said they've yet to make a call on whether or not they'll return to A380s again after the COVID-19 pandemic. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner, that's the backbone of the Etihad Airways fleet, is, quote, massively more efficient than the four-engined A380 jet, according to Etihad spokespeople. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens after COVID-19, but it really is not looking good for the A380.
No, not at all. It's the issue with A380 is that even though Airbus has said the A380 has the lowest cost per seat of any competing wide-bodied aircraft, anything less than full makes the A380 not profitable, to be honest, and that's the situation at the moment, and this is what a lot of airlines have had to consider. Airbus had actually also stopped making A380 jumbos 16 years after it had launched the Super Jumbo into the skies. It weighed 277 tons. And it's such a massive feat that it had. It weighs twice as much as a blue whale, according to some stats. It's also nearly as long as a football pitch and stands about half as high as Nelson's Column. And that's what they've been saying in terms of describing the A380. So it's a very expensive aircraft to operate. But in the world of airlines, Etihad Airways at the moment has been going through a lot of downsizing and a lot of restructuring and strategizing ahead.
Yes, indeed. And they're saying that this operational model change would see a restructuring of Etihad's senior leadership team. And they said that they're doing this to ensure long-term sustainability and contribute to the growth and prominence of Abu Dhabi. But yes, a major restructuring of the airline in line with the current circumstances as well. And they said that they are adapting to a marketplace that they have seen will change for the foreseeable future as well. So that's how Tony Douglas, Group Chief Executive Officer of Etihad, framed it.
Yeah, and when they asked Tony Douglas about when will Etihad fly the A380 again, he said it's heavily handicapped by two engines, too many, and by other aircraft that can do the same job far more efficiently and far more sustainably. So that's that you can see there's a shift in mindset and top leadership as well. But yeah, poor old A380s. They were such a massive sensation, but now sadly, COVID-19 has a little minuscule virus has grounded such a massive super jumbo, and that's the sad reality that we face as well. Well, time now for us to take a bit of a breather. We will return on the Morning Majlis right after the news headlines. From one particular flight, we're going to be moving on to another flight beyond borders, beyond horizons, and beyond the atmosphere. What are we talking about? All this will be discussed right here on the Morning Majlis.
This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Yep, speaking of some rules of our nation, some rules have been adjusted, and they're very good news. We got some really good news for everyone.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, actually. The United Arab Emirates will extend its golden visa system, which grants 10-year residency here in the Gulf state to certain professionals, specialized degree holders, and others. And that is according to the UAE's vice president's announcement yesterday. So foreigners in the UAE usually have renewable visas valid for only about a few years tied to employment. And the government in the past couple of years has made its visa policy more flexible, offering longer residencies for certain types of investors, students, and professionals. But now, all holders of doctorate degrees, medical doctors, and also computer electronics, programming, electrical, and biotechnology engineers are eligible for this visa. Also eligible are those with specialized degrees in artificial intelligence, big data, and epidemiology, as well as high school students living in the UAE who rank top in the country, and students from certain universities with a GPA of 3.8 or higher.
Yeah, and this golden visa will also be available to the families of top students, so they're going to be eligible as well. And the program is implemented in order to retain talent in the country.
Yes, it is. And this announcement was made on Twitter by the UAE Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. And so far, they've agreed today a decision. That was a statement that came out yesterday saying we've agreed today a decision to grant the 10-year golden visa to residents in the following categories: all physicians, PhD holders, engineers in the fields of computer engineering, electronics programming, electricity, and biotechnology graduates from UAE accredited universities who scored grades, point average, or GPA of 3.8 and above. Anyone scored a GPA of 3.8 over here?
Maybe in high school.
High school. 9 degrees university.
In high school.
I got a good 2-1. I don't know if that qualifies as
What? I don't believe it.
Sorry?
What's 2-1?
2-1, yeah.
Nice.
2-1 is a grading in the UK. And
Yeah, we're not familiar with
What
the
is that
grading.
equivalent?
Yeah.
We're Americans here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Americans, thank you.
so I think the GPA would be about 3.6 or something.
Oh,
That's really
that's
that's
very
excellent.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I might be bigging it up. And then someone will text us. Text us on 4215 if you know how the conversion of the 2-1 or the first class honours works with the GPA scoring as well. Because I don't know. I mean, I just make it up. So, yeah, I got 3.6, I think, maybe. But yeah, anything above 70% in the UK was classed as first class honours. So I was a little bit shy of that. But yeah, it was... It's a good grading to get, but I'm not eligible for that 10-year visa yet. But a lot of people are, and this is why we were asking you this question at the start. If you were to choose any of the profession, which profession would you have chosen if you weren't in the current role you're in or the current industry? And if you had that liberty to press the reset button and choose a different industry, which one would you have chosen? A couple of people have been saying pilots. And that's been interesting. Given the scenario with the COVID-19, a lot of pilots have sadly lost their jobs or have been furloughed, but still people have been preferring that industry. Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yep, but that industry is never going to die, really. I mean, everyone wants to travel eventually. And once this pandemic thing is over, a lot of people would have saved a lot of money. So this is the time for all the hotels to cash in with the exciting deals. Because once the world opens, it's going to be... wouldn't say bloodbath. It'll be more like let's get the best deals, but it'll be fun. Definitely is going to be a lot of time, the perfect time to make that most money. Well, stay with us on the Morning Majlis. Up next, we'll be talking a little bit more about Sharjah's new initiative, Sharjah Municipality in particular, all about horticultural wonders. What's happening? Stay tuned to Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Hello and welcome back. It's sports season now. Well, Dustin Johnson had a fantastic end to the Masters. He wins the green jacket with the lowest score in tournament history. He polished off his 5-shot victory on Sunday with the lowest score in the history of the Masters. And he has actually had no words, in control of every aspect of his game. The number one was on course and then never allows anyone to relax. He couldn't speak when it was over. Instead, he turned to wiping his tears. He said, "I've never had this much trouble gathering myself on the golf course. I'm pretty good at it. No one was better. No one, not even close." And Tiger Woods was around there with him as well to congratulate him on such a fine victory. But Masters finally coming to an end, and Johnson has been with under 68 and finished at 20 under and 268 overall, breaking by 2 shots the record that had been set by Tiger Woods way back in 1997. So very interesting ordeal.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson is the world number 1, and he is known for his stoic, calm, cold demeanor on the field, which is why him breaking into tears was such a incredible scene. He said, quote, "It still feels like I'm dreaming," he said, as he wiped his eyes, and a career that's been fraught with misfortune, setbacks, injuries, even as far back as 2010, where he'd be this close to making the playoffs or a major championship, and he'd get an injury, or a 3-putt on a final hole, for instance, would cost him a championship. So he's been pretty used to having bad things happen to him, but now he's put it all together and cemented his place as among one of the game's best as well.
Yeah, and despite sports, we know that it have been severely disrupted since the onset of the coronavirus in March. But despite that, participation has been permitted to start again for many sports in recent years. But the staging of competitions has been restricted. And we know that, for example, Arabian Gulf League football is back underway, but has been played out behind closed doors until this point. But as of last night's big announcement, there might be, or there should be, a phased return of spectators, meaning crowds for sporting events in the neighboring Emirate of Dubai will be permitted to return at 30% capacity. And that's what has been confirmed yesterday from Dubai Media Office, that the Dubai Sports Council's health and safety protocols have resulted in the council obtaining approval from the Executive Council of Dubai and the Supreme Committee of Crisis and Disaster Management for the return of spectators to sports events at a maximum of 30% capacity. And this move to permit the return of spectators comes 6 days after the conclusion of the IPL, which was played out in front of empty stands as per COVID-19 safety regulations. But thankfully now there's a gradual return.
Yes, there is indeed, and we will be keeping you posted about that for sure. And for now, it's time for the Morning Majlis to pave the way for some musical entertainment on Pulse 95, and we'll be back again tomorrow morning, bright and early.
That's right. And if you missed any of today's discussions, head over to Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcast. Type Morning Majlis in the search bar and tune in on our discussions and interviews as well. We're also live on YouTube at Pulse 95 Radio. We'll be uploading a video podcast on that platform as well. So make sure you subscribe to Pulse 95 Radio. Thank you all for tuning in and texting us throughout the program. Stay tuned to Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of The Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.